You let out of it! You had it going! Try it again! Hi guys, Redneck Computer Geek here. John has been using this go-kart build for going on a couple of years now. And it's been through many different upgrades, but the real reality is we've never really done much to the engine. We pulled the governor out of the Duramax, which is sitting over there, and we put a 5,200 RPM limiter from DynoCam on there. That worked out really good, but I need an engine for testing some stuff over on the RCG Racing channel, and John wants to go and have more RPM. So of course, there's only one logical way to do this. We dig out this poor, crusty, needs rings Predator that has been in so many different projects. Like, we haven't even cleaned it up since it ate a red drive belt all over the backside of it. It's covered in grease, and therefore it is the perfect candidate for a rebuild using Aliexpress's sponsorship for this video. Aliexpress has stepped in to sponsor rebuilding this for John, and we'll be posting links down below for the different items. Now, let's show you what we got on the table, what came from Aliexpress and what came from a couple of other locations. In business, the best way to make money is to eliminate the middleman. If you order this kit from Aliexpress, that is basically what you are doing. These are selling right now for basically $100. The other thing I'll note here is that at $100, you actually qualify for their $6 off coupon, plus it qualifies for their coin discount program. So that $100 can get turned into $91 very quickly, which is what I paid for this kit after discount. Basically, for years, Aliexpress has allowed people to drop ship from them and do a markup on Amazon, and you're actually buying from Aliexpress. So we just are cutting out the middleman on this. What we have here is we have a Predator knockoff 20 over connecting rod with the knockoff bearings. On a side note here, for those that know that I have a Patreon page, I'll post a link down below. I am working on prototyping using these Chinese bearings in my own H-rod. So we're working on that in the background, hopefully to have something this summer. This is the fabled Predator flat top 212 piston. And these are interesting because if you run the part number on these, they actually don't kick back to Predator. They actually kick back to Lonkin 200 engines that come out of Europe. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Got our rings. We have a oil plug that has a hell of a magnet in it. I mean, it's on there. There's no shaking that off. You got to actually push it. Now, I've ordered these in the past in a good quality one of these sells for like $10. I've ordered these $1 knockoffs in the past and had them not thread in, so we're going to see whether those work. This is your standard kit that you normally order off of Amazon that was included in the price. Standalone on Amazon, this is $11 to $12. Also included is one of these lovely folded over gasket kits that sometimes they end up folding the head gasket and obliterating it. Luckily, this one, they didn't do that, but be forewarned, don't be surprised if that head gasket is unusable. On the backside over here, next to the unmarked can, if you can recognize this guy, you're probably from Maine. We've got some leftover 25-pound valve springs from NR Racing that we're going to be throwing in. We've also got one of the fabled 10,000 RPM Amazon flywheels. And yet again, these are able to be bought on Aliexpress for about $5 less than you're paying to have it drop shipped off of Amazon.
There is a problem with these, and I'll show it right here if I can. Let's see if I can get it zoomed in. I've been noticing that they all have this casting lip right there. You have to take a burr bit and take that lip out of there, or else they will pop and shear flywheel keys. It's a defect that seems to be in a ton of these. Here's the other thing about using these. In order to get these to seat correctly, you have to pull the crank out, flip it into this while it's in a vise, and spin it for a long period of time with grinding compound. So don't think you're going to just slap it on and go like that. Like a good quality one, you've got to pull that, put it in there, and spin it for an extended period of time. All right. John's probably on the computer. Yeah. Hey, you're supposed to be taking an engine apart. What are you looking up? What's over here? No, you're going to give away what the can of soda is. You can't look at that. They're supposed to comment. Whoops. Oh. Never mind, we failed because your can is sitting there. You ruined the comment section. Yeah, due to potential failing rings, it currently has like 2050 syrup in it with zinc. And it smells bad. It's been burning stuff. Yeah, it's gonna stink when you tear it apart. Sorry, dude. I have used several of these clones at this point versus the real deal, and there are differences you can definitely notice in them that I wanted to point out. First of all, where the pin goes on both of them, you can see the ARC is far bigger on the outside lip than the clone is. If you measure this on most of the clones, it is definitely thinner, a lot less material. The clone rod actually usually weighs less than the ARC rod. I mean, it is less enough that you can actually feel it when you pick them up next to each other. The other thing that I've noticed on these is the EDM cut on these. You can see right there, that tab. I can fit my fingernail in the side of that one. The EDM cut on these is oftentimes way off. The other thing I've noticed is right there versus right there. This is thicker than this is. You're cutting corners somewhere. And that's the reason why if I was building for 9,000 RPMs, I would use this. And if I was building for 7, I'd be okay with using this. Taking a look at the piston ring kit that came with this thing, I wanted to point out what's really good is that the top ring is silvered like it's supposed to be, and it has a letter so you know exactly what side is up. The scraper ring, black as can be, lettered so you know what side is up, and these look nice also. One thing with the piston that I did notice is that it is giant ported oilers, one to each side, not like a Honda piston that is ported with micro ports. So I don't know. It does have a splash port right there on each side. What's your 2 cents? Do you like the giant oil port, or do you like the Honda style with a ton of micro ports? Got the piston and connecting rod put together. I don't have any assembly lube right now, but I do have some of this leftover transmission assembly treatment. I'm sure that'll work out perfectly fine. Anyways, so John's going to grab a hold of this. He's going to bop it once or twice, and we should be able to get the head off. There you go. Now, it should be 2 dowels. Let me see what this head looks like. Alright, so this tells me we've been in here before because that's the wrong head gasket to be stock. There's a lot of carbon buildup. I think at some point we cheated because the spark plug that came out of this was way cleaner than this head looks like, so... Oh yeah, getting better. I'm still going to pop these both out and I'm going to regrind them in, but this gets it started. John's working on finally getting the side cover off. I'm working on putting springs into the head. There's 22s versus stock. And the trick when you're dealing with low pressure springs is just a piece of packing foam in underneath the valves. Just like that. Nothing special. You don't need any high priced tools, no nothing. But if you do want a set of spring compression Cs that are cheap, I'll post a link down below. We're not going to talk about this. John says, just so you know, if you had smell-o-vision, it smells like cow doo-doo. Who the hell uses the word doo-doo? What are you, 5? Here's your cow doo-doo. I just came to the realization that we have been running this thing at a few thousand RPM more than it ought to be with the governor gear still in it. I thought we had done a governor delete on this thing years ago. Apparently, I've never cracked this thing open. How's it going?
Cow doo-doo.
Oh, yeah. Alright, spray some more in that base and get that to wash out. Yeah, it's had water in it at some point in its life. I'm wondering if I never rebuilt it after it was in the gas-powered power wheel and went underwater in the pond a few years ago. But that would have been like 10 years ago. This engine's old. I want to take 5 seconds while we're here to point out why it is that kits that are listed correctly clearly state Predator, Hemi, non-Hemi 212cc, and they state 3.328 on the rod size. A Predator uses a different journal size here than a Honda does, but the same rod pin size up here. It also uses a different cam size here, so you can see that willy wobble. That's because this is a Rado Ducar Honda style cam, and it is loose inside there and will rip itself apart. You have to buy a cam that is specific for the Predator engine. You also have to buy a rod that is specific, and you can run Honda heads on a Predator block, but you have to drill the Honda head out in order to fit the dowel pins that a Predator uses. Now, there are people that say you can put it together without the dowel pins, and that is also doable. But I just wanted to point out that it is very important that you realize you are ordering a kit that is specifically for the Predator. They also make a kit like this that is for the Rado, Ducar, and Hondas. But in order to make it fit in a Honda, you have to bore out the 68 to a 70. So, John just realized that the edge of the inside of the engine block, when all of a sudden a rod bolt lets loose, is sharp. I'm over here grabbing some valve grinding compound. I'm going to pop each valve in, and I'm going to put a drill on the back side of it and flatten these out. This one here, I don't know if I can get the camera to catch it, but you can see the carbon buildup that was literally blocking it from closing. So that's got to get done. I thought this thing had bad rings in it, and I honestly think it's actually that carbon buildup that was my problem. Over on our second YouTube channel, RCG Racing, we took one of these Duramaxes and we built it out with a similar kit that came off of Amazon. Or rather, the kits didn't exist back then. I pieced it together, and now Aliexpress and Amazon sell kits like what I built. That being said, The engine we built out in order to go mini bike drag racing had a kind of a weird vibration in it at certain RPMs. And it has been noted by several other builders on YouTube that these rods with the aftermarket pistons have ended up with vibrations at weird RPMs also. Now, a single cylinder can only be balanced just so much, but basically, the whole point of balancing out a single cylinder is that if I take this and I put this assembly on it, and I balance this on two bearings, anywhere that I rotate it to, it should sit and it shouldn't want to move. If that's the case, then in a perfect world, I should be able to find the weight of this and have it match the ARC combo that everybody sells of the ARC rod with the flat top piston versus this Aliexpress version with the flat top piston should be really close to that weight. So here we go. We have zeroing it out. Stock right now is going to give us 343 grams. This is the tried and true ARC combo. 350 grams. This is the combo from Aliexpress. 349 grams. So that matches pretty much exactly with the ARC combo. If anything, it's a little bit, if anything, it's a little bit heavier by a few grams than the stock. So the question is, why did I and a couple other YouTubers find a very slight vibration at about 2,600 RPM that went away at about 3,000? I don't know. Comment down below, engine builders. Why do you think it happens? And then there's John, who just wants me to shut up and let him build his engine. That is not what you want to see. Most of it actually is just discolored. There's a bit of a pit right about there, but the rest of it seems to just be discolored. So we're going to run it, and if it gets really bad, maybe we'll try and do a ghetto hone and stuff a 72 millimeter in it. I don't know. I'm over here doing this, and this is what I was talking about earlier, is that you got to grind off the nub on the top side, stick this in with your grinding compound, and just press down and go at it. Back and forth for a while. Clean it out, double check it, do it again. These things are not consistent at all. Whether they say Predator, whether they say Honda, whether they say Ducar, whether they say anything, that is kind of a crapshoot. So just grind it in really good with this out of the engine. This part makes John nervous, so I'm going to be doing it. The big thing is we've got a rod on with the dip down side that way, matching to the triangle here. We've oiled our skirts, we've oiled our rings, we got a little bit extra on the inside of the cylinder. I prefer to do it with the counterweight up so that way where the rod connects is down. That's just personal preference. Everybody's got their own way. So we're going to try to do this live. We're going to set this in, rotating the arrow as perfectly straight down as possible. You want this standing off just a little bit before you put your compression on. And this is nothing special. It is just the standard one that they sell at AutoZone, Advanced Auto. I can post an Amazon link if you would like. The one thing is that awkwardly you have to make sure these are on that side. So now that we're at this point, we tap it and then tap it in with the screwdriver with the arrow down. There's no real way to show other than the fact that once it goes in, it pops. If you go to tap this and you are feeling resistance, like I'm holding it like that, like I'm holding a like I'm holding a pencil. There, that's the word. This is the amount of impact. If you have to go like this, something is wrong. It should be a pencil worth of impact to move it. I didn't film this part. I figured torquing it down would be like any other torque down, except for I heard the thing that nobody wants to hear. I heard the dreaded tink. Yep. This has been a known issue. If you go on the Amazon reviews and everything else, this has been happening with these on a regular basis, which is why I have already ordered up the bolts to go in here to replace this so that we have good quality bolts in there. The good news about this situation is I have real ARP bolts on hand. And as you can see, they are different than what came with this. These have an extended head that, as you can see, that one rounded off. They're also shorter. And that shorter is important for this one where it doesn't go all the way through. What I actually found out after I mic'd out the one that it came with was that it was bottoming out in this, and that's probably why it is that it rounded off the head. I'm lucky it didn't snap it off in there. But we've got this so that the real ones are in it and fit. The other thing we found was that that hole wasn't quite reamed out enough. So we cleared it out with a 1/4-inch drill bit, and now that slides freely, just like it's supposed to. Before, it was hitting the shoulder and not making it into the end of the rod cap. Future Neil here. Big shout out to boltsandnuts.com for 1/4 by 28 by 1 1/4. There. For 64 cents each, ordering in a 20-pack, and you can actually order them in even bigger packs in order to be even cheaper, we now have bolts that we are not going to break when we're using these Amazon, Aliexpress, whatever type rods. As you can see there, fits right in, happy as can be. So, that solves that problem. On to the rest of the video. You want to hear the happiest noise I've heard all day? Click, click, we're happy, ARC. Sean had to go to this thing called school, so looks like I'm on my own to get this finished so he can drive it Thanksgiving. Flat top is in, we're at top dead center. As you can see, we are not even remotely close to zero deck, and that's fine, we're not after high compression. It is definitely way better than this ugly dish piston that was in there. So we've got that sorted out, new bolts in there, and we've got this drain plug. And I'm gonna see if I can get you to see this, but it is way too big on the shoulders to go down into there. And this crush washer is not thick enough to actually come out past the base of the block, even though it looks like it does. So I haven't decided. I think me and a grinder are probably going to take this shoulder off of here and stuff it in there, because I want to go and see if it actually will do anything. The thread is perfectly fine, it's just this bolt is too big. Got the lifters put in, we got our timing dot put right there. We should be able to grab the cam, drop it in, and get the dots lined up. If you buy universal parts, you're going to run into universal part issues, which has basically been what I've had through this entire engine build with John. That does not fit on those Predator dowels, pins, whatever you want to call them. Looks like I'm going to take a step bit to that, and we're going to make it fit, making sure not to mess up the fire ring there, or whatever you want to call that little scrunchy piece. There, sorted out. One of these fine incremental drill bits helps a lot with this kind of thing. I've been finding this problem a lot more often, so that and taking your time is the solution. Got the head on with everything at 0 lash at top dead center right now. So what we need to do is get the flywheel on so we can rotate this thing over about 5 or 6 times to get everything to settle and then actually do the lashing on it. But what I have found while using these cheaper flywheels is they really like about 6 to 4 degrees of timing. So I took our stock timing key, threw it in the vise in a grinder, and just cleaned off about half of it. Right there, there you go. About half of it works pretty good on these. We never undid this coil because I wanted to show you that these are drop-in. They work perfectly fine. They're the exact same size. You don't have to do anything. They just plain drop in. Now, is it a good practice to check your coil gap? Yes, it is. But just so that you can see. Now we can rotate this over several times, making sure everything is all happy. And then we can verify top dead center by putting a 3-inch extension down in here, letting it come up and settling. This is why every once in a while I'll buy one of those universal carb kits that has the studs with it, because one of the studs on a Predator on the older style is way shorter. And so if you have a universal like this, it will not fit without swapping it over. Let me see if I can do this on camera. There. So normally a universal will not fit on a Predator unless you swap in one of these studs. So luckily I had a few stashed. This engine is the perfect example of I can sit, I can idle, and when you punch the throttle, it dies. That bunch of caca is what was in my bowl. And my bowl is rust filled. And yeah. So I gotta see whether I got a spare carb to throw on there. The primary jet is obviously screwed, and we'll go from there. Almost. Oh, there's a donut. You let out of it. You had it going. Try it again. Mission accomplished. We can do snow donuts. Can we pull a wheelie? Go for it. What was it? Did you break it? You broke it. Oh. You and your violence. You broke it. It's a good thing I bulk order these off of Amazon. I've got like 6 of them. They're like $10 a piece. You owe me $10. Okay. Thank you for this smile to our Patreon supporters. Your donations are what buy these kinds of parts. Alright, check the kill tether works. Okay, well, we're short on gasoline anyway. What do you think? Can you take your helmet off so you don't look like some scrunchy? Seriously, you look like one of those dehydrated apple head things that they used to make for Halloween when you're trying to talk in your helmet. There we go. Now you look less Halloween decoration. Or like one of those Cabbage Patch Kids. That's what you look like when you have the helmet on. I'm showing my age. Anyways, so John in his usual habits broke something. Because everybody blames me, but really it's John. What do you think? Do you think it's more powerful?
Yeah.
Was that $100 worth of more powerful?
It goes faster.
It definitely is faster. It definitely hooks up a lot better.
When I was driving around, so I didn't go full throttle. So
You-
I still could have went faster.
Oh, it still had more in it?
Yeah.
Oh, when you did donuts, was that full throttle?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You finally had the ability to do donuts and you didn't full throttle do donuts?
I was trying to not hit you in the knees.
The hell, whose kid are you? Sacrifice the cameraman. That's how this works on YouTube. Anyways, well, okay, so apparently John tried to full throttle it once and broke everything. I don't know. I think that it's worth the $100, especially when you consider that we're not after buku power. We're just after having fun, you know, I don't know, 6,000 RPMs worth of reality. I do think it needs, a Mod 2 cam. We'll probably get a hold of NR Racing. I think we should take the Aliexpress rod and piston, combo it with the 10,000 RPM flywheel off of Amazon, give it a Mod 2 cam so that you can turn it at 7,000 plus, and then see if you break the transmission. Because this started out as a Bronco 2 from Tractor Supply. It's a lawn tractor. It just doesn't know it anymore. Nor does John. All right, John. Say bye-bye.